Cool Colorado greetings from the fish god. Today's video, I've got something pretty special set up. What I'm going to do is show you how to tie a midge with a big hook. It seems improbable, but we call this a Brassie best friend. You tie it pretty much like you would tie a Brassie. The difference is minimal. You're using the same materials, the same thing. The thing is, we're going to tie it on a size 14 or a 16 hook. You could actually tie it on an 18 if you want, but what I'm doing is I'm going to tie two midges on one hook. The way I equate it is how we eat popcorn when we're in the theater. Nobody eats one kernel at a time. We grab a handful and we eat them. Fish do the same thing with midges when they're hatching prolifically. So let's get this show on the road, get you going. As always, if you like the video, let me know. Hit like. And if you like the series of videos, hit subscribe. I can use it. Let's get this thing moving. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start off, I'm going to put a little bit of super glue right there behind the head. And there's a reason I'm doing this. I'll put a little bit on there. We're going to start our thread there, and we're going to attach the wire there. So I'm just going to put a little wrap of thread here just behind the head, about an eye length of thread. Then I'm going to go ahead and put one more little just dab of super glue right there, and it might be overkill, but it works. What I'm going to do is I'm going to attach, I've got some Brassie wire here, and I'm going to attach a little bit of Brassie wire right here behind the hook eye. So I'm going to lay that in there and pull it up into the super glue. And I'm going to try not to wrap very far back on this. At this point, I'm going to pull that wire as close as I can to where that head is and start wrapping the wire. Now, the idea behind this is like I said, it's like eating popcorn rather than a kernel at a time, eating a couple of kernels. I've watched midges hatch in several places, and they'll do clusters. That's why the Griffith gnat works, is they do clusters. Well, they when they're hatching like that, the midges are hatching as well. And you'll see clusters rather than just adults. The nymphs are doing it. And you'll see lots of nymphs in the water. And they'll go for a bite of two rather than a bite of one. The benefit is you get a wider hook gap. Okay, I'd rather try and hook a fish with a size 14 hook because the gap's pretty big, than do it with a size 18 or 20. And what we're doing is going to have two small midges on this longer shank, and we're going to get the benefit of the wider gap on the hook. What I'm doing is called touching turns. I'm making one wrap touch the one before. I'm going to put, just now that I'm getting towards the end, I'm going to put a little touch of super glue on the hook shank. And this is going to keep, because I'm not going to do any more knot tying than I have to on this. I'm just going to wrap now this back end. I'm going to wrap it all the way down into the bend, just like you would a Brassie. And this will keep it from unraveling because I'm not going to use anything to hold this down on the back end. This wire is wrapped nice and tight. They're touching turns. I'm doing my best to not leave gaps in there. And when I get far enough down, if I can get all the way to the end here, it's a lot easier when you don't have a camera between you and the fly. If you're wondering why I'm being so cautious with this, I think one more wrap will do it. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to helicopter that off. So I'm pulling pretty hard and tight, and I'm just going around on the backside, and it's going to eventually break off. Eventually. There we go. So right now it looks like a really long Brassie, which is all well and good. That's what it's supposed to look like. So what I'm going to do is finish this thread right here. And I'm going to build up a little bit of a head, not a great deal. And I'm going to go ahead and whip finish this right here. And I'll try and be as clean as I can. Pull that good and tight. And I'm having a little, there we go, a little trouble seeing it. Okay, so then I'm just going to restart my thread in the middle. So pick a spot you want to start it that is about halfway, so you got equal size midges. And now you got two, rather than one big size 14 midge, you've got two size 18, maybe size 20. Which is really nice to have. Because now I'm getting the benefit of that bigger gap, and I'm going to get a chance to fish a midge hatch with a big hook. How fun is that? And if you don't believe this can work, I did a guided trip last year for a charity event, and had a really good fisherman. He hadn't played many big fish. We were in a spot that had lots of big fish, and I'd seen several anglers fish to a couple that were hanging out underneath a bridge. And I told him, man, they're all fishing over the top of that fish's head. So I put on some pretty heavy nymphs above this, but I had basically this in a zebra midge color. It was black and silver, but it was basically this fly. And I said, you're capable of making the cast that you need to make. You just need to get this down to them and they'll eat it. And on his third cast, he hooked it. And I tried to tell him, do not let him get out of this first hole, which the fish promptly ran out of that first hole. And we chased him about 400 yards downriver before we finally landed him. I think two of us went swimming. The angler and his partner in the tournament both did a little swimming trying to get this fish. I I just ate it in the dirt on the way over. But what I'm doing right now is putting a little head cement. That fish ended up being a size, a 26-inch rainbow, sizable. It ended up being the big fish of the tournament, and it was caught on one of these. We call it a Brassie best friend. That's not the original name, but the original name is somewhat obscene. So I won't give it to you here. I'm just putting a little bit of Sally Hansen's on the head itself, just to give that, let it soak into the thread and give it a little bit more durability. And I'm just touching that thread with it. And if I'm a little shaky, it's late and it's cold. We've had some snow, we've had some wind, we've had all sorts of good stuff. It's been nice to be inside this week. But here you go. This is the Brassie best friend. You can do this in any color. I've got them in greens. I've got them in, chartreuse, lime green, black, silver. They're really an amazing fly. You can two-tone these if you're good at wrapping wire. But this fly is really an award winner. And like I said, if you tie it on a size 16 or a size 18 hook, you can get it to where you're tying size 24 midges on here, because suddenly that 18 hook is going to be like two size 24s. So it's a way to get the benefit of a bigger gap, the additional weight, everything you need to get to where the fish are going to eat this. Let's finish this off. What I want to make sure you understand is how much I appreciate you watching. I hope you learned something. I hope it gives you an idea to maybe try something new that you haven't tried. And maybe if you have any questions or suggestions, if you have an idea of something you want to see, I'm more than happy to do it. Leave me comments. And until next time, just remember, the gods don't deduct from a person's allotted span the hours spent fishing. I hope to see you on the river. Thanks. Have a good evening.